Listen closely, because this is not about earning more. It is about seeing differently. Money has never been your enemy, and it has never been your master. It has only been your mirror. Every delay, every struggle, every sudden blessing has been reflecting a conversation taking place within you. Change the conversation, and the reflection must change. It cannot do otherwise. The moment you stop chasing money in fear, money begins to chase you in form. Life responds not to desperation, but to agreement. When you agree that supply is constant, unseen channels open. When you argue with life through doubt, those channels quietly close. You must understand this clearly. The universe does not hear your wishes. It hears your certainty. It does not respond to hope mixed with anxiety. It responds to expectation backed by faith. The quiet inner knowing that says, "This is already arranged," is stronger than years of exhausting effort. Words are living forces. Each time you speak of lack, you seal it. Each time you speak of abundance with conviction, you release it. The spoken word is law, and it never takes a day off. Speak as one who expects success, not as one pleading for relief. Money flows where it is welcomed. If you resent it, fear it, or worship it, you block it. But when you bless it, when you see it as a messenger of opportunity and good, it moves freely. What you honor honors you in return. Let go of the belief that struggle is noble. Struggle is not proof of worthiness. Ease is not laziness. The greatest achievements arrive through alignment, not exhaustion. When you align with the idea that supply is limitless, effort becomes guided instead of forced. Expect doors to open before you see them. Expect assistance before you ask for it. Expect opportunities to recognize you. This expectation is not arrogance, it is spiritual confidence. It is knowing that life is cooperative, not competitive. Give thanks now, not later. Gratitude spoken in advance is a declaration of trust. It tells life, "I know you are working on my behalf." And life, hearing this certainty, accelerates the delivery. From this moment forward, refuse to speak against your own prosperity. Refuse to entertain fear disguised as realism. Refuse to doubt the unseen workings that are already moving into place. Money has never been a battle to be won. It has always been a response to inner alignment. When people struggle with money, they often believe the struggle itself is proof of effort, intelligence, or worthiness. Yet struggle is merely evidence of resistance. Money reacts to the atmosphere of the mind. If the inner world is charged with fear, urgency, resentment, or constant worry, money reflects that tension by becoming unstable, scarce, or fleeting. This is not punishment, nor is it chance. It is law. Life answers the dominant inner agreement, not the conscious desire. A person may desire wealth intensely while inwardly agreeing with limitation, and life will always side with the agreement rather than the desire. The relationship with money is shaped long before money appears in physical form. It is shaped in thoughts entertained repeatedly, in emotional reactions to bills, in the way one speaks about success, and in the silent expectations held when imagining the future. When money is approached as something difficult, unfair, or elusive, it responds by behaving exactly that way. When money is approached as a natural extension of order, supply, and opportunity, it begins to move with surprising ease. Money does not need to be convinced. It needs to be allowed. Allowance begins with inner neutrality, then grows into quiet confidence. Many believe money responds to effort alone, but effort without alignment creates exhaustion without reward. True movement happens when action is supported by an inner sense of inevitability. When someone inwardly knows that supply is available, they act differently. Their choices are clearer, their timing improves, and they recognize opportunities others overlook. This is not luck. It is perception sharpened by agreement. Money responds to clarity faster than it responds to force. Fear is the greatest disruptor of this response. Fear compresses thought, narrows vision, and creates urgency, and urgency always signals lack. Money recoils from desperation because desperation affirms absence. Calm expectancy, on the other hand, affirms presence. When one expects supply as a matter of course, money moves through ordinary channels in extraordinary ways. Unexpected support appears, delays dissolve, and solutions arrive without strain. To change the response of money, one must change the inner command. This does not require pretending or denying circumstances. It requires withdrawing emotional charge from them. When bills, prices, or financial goals are viewed without panic, the mind regains authority. Authority is magnetic. Money moves toward authority because authority signals order. Once the inner struggle ends, money no longer needs to resist. It reflects peace by flowing, stability by remaining, and confidence by increasing. The moment money is no longer treated as a problem to fight, it becomes a partner that cooperates. What appears externally as financial change is simply the visible effect of an inner decision to stop arguing with supply and start agreeing with it. Every word spoken about money carries instruction and momentum. Speech is not casual sound, it is directed energy. Whether whispered in frustration, joked about in passing, or repeated internally as self-talk, words impress themselves upon the subconscious and move outward into experience. Many people unknowingly sabotage their financial lives by constantly voicing limitation, calling money hard to get, saying they are always broke, or claiming they are bad with money. These statements may feel harmless or even honest, but life accepts them as commands, not commentary. The world does not argue with language, it obeys it. The spoken word has power because it carries belief. Even when spoken lightly, repetition gives words authority. What is said again and again becomes accepted truth, and accepted truth shapes expectation. Expectation then shapes behavior, perception, and opportunity. A person who constantly speaks of lack unconsciously looks for proof of lack, overlooks openings, hesitates at the wrong moments, and reinforces the very condition they complain about. The words become a closed circuit, feeding the same outcome over and over. Speech also carries emotional tone, and emotion amplifies its effect. Words spoken with irritation, fear, or resignation carry far more weight than neutral thoughts. This is why emotional statements about money often show up quickly in experience. When someone angrily declares that money never stays or anxiously insists that there is never enough, that emotional charge accelerates manifestation. Life mirrors intensity, not intention. Conversely, words spoken with calm authority reshape reality just as effectively. When statements of abundance are spoken without strain or pleading, they establish a new inner atmosphere. The key is not volume but conviction. Quiet certainty outweighs loud affirmation. A simple, steady declaration, spoken as fact rather than hope, begins to reorganize circumstances. The subconscious responds by adjusting decisions, reactions, and awareness in ways that support the statement. Discipline in speech is therefore essential. This does not mean denying temporary conditions. It means refusing to verbalize fear as truth. One may acknowledge a situation without empowering it. Silence is often more powerful than negative speech. Choosing not to complain breaks the momentum of lack. Choosing words carefully redirects it. Language also shapes identity. When someone says, "I can't afford it," they reinforce an identity of limitation. When they instead affirm alignment with supply, they shift identity toward capability and trust. Identity determines behavior, and behavior determines results. The change begins with words. Money responds to the dominant verbal pattern because speech reveals belief. Life listens to what is repeated, not what is wished. When words about money become deliberate, constructive, and aligned with expectation, the financial experience must adjust. The outer world has no choice but to conform to the inner command consistently spoken into existence. Money itself carries no emotion, no memory, and no judgment. It is a neutral medium, responding only to the meaning assigned to it. Yet for many, money is burdened with intense emotional weight. Fear of loss, guilt over having more than others, shame from past mistakes, envy toward those who seem to have ease, or desperation born from uncertainty. These emotions do not change money, they change the mind's relationship with it, and that altered relationship determines how money behaves in one's life. When emotion dominates, clarity disappears, and where clarity is absent, flow is interrupted. Emotional attachment creates pressure, and pressure distorts perception. When money is emotionally charged, decisions become reactive instead of intentional. Fear pushes people to grasp too tightly or avoid entirely. Guilt encourages self-sabotage, causing money to leave as quickly as it arrives. Envy breeds comparison, which drains focus and invites dissatisfaction. Desperation signals absence, and life responds by confirming that signal. None of these reactions are moral failures. They are conditioned responses that can be released once recognized. To release emotional charge does not mean indifference. It means neutrality. Neutrality restores authority. When money is viewed calmly, without drama, the mind regains balance and direction. From this state, decisions improve naturally. Spending becomes conscious rather than impulsive. Earning becomes strategic rather than frantic. Opportunities are evaluated with discernment instead of fear. Neutrality allows wisdom to replace emotion. Money flows most freely when it is allowed to circulate without attachment. Hoarding from fear stops movement. Overspending from anxiety creates instability. Both arise from emotional imbalance. Circulation, guided by trust, keeps money alive and responsive. Trust does not mean recklessness. It means confidence in continuity. When one trusts that supply renews itself, there is no need to cling or rush. Releasing emotional charge also dissolves the false moral narratives attached to money. Money is not virtue or vice. It is expression. In the hands of clarity, it becomes generosity, creativity, security, and service. When stripped of emotional distortion, money can fulfill its purpose without conflict. It becomes a tool rather than a test. This release begins internally. It starts with observing emotional reactions without judgment. When fear arises, it is acknowledged but not obeyed. When guilt appears, it is questioned rather than accepted. Over time, these emotions lose authority. The nervous system calms and the mind opens. As emotional intensity fades, money responds by stabilizing. It stays longer, arrives more smoothly, and increases with less effort. What once felt unpredictable becomes orderly. This shift is subtle yet powerful. When money is no longer loaded with fear or longing, it reflects that freedom by flowing with ease, mirroring the inner state that finally released it. Expectation operates at a deeper level than effort because it determines direction before action begins. Effort without expectation is like movement without destination. Energy is spent, but results are inconsistent and often disappointing. Many people work tirelessly, yet inwardly expect struggle, delay, or disappointment. That expectation quietly governs outcomes, regardless of how hard they try. Life does not measure effort. It responds to the assumption beneath it. When assumption and action are misaligned, effort loses its power. Expectation shapes perception. A person who expects opportunity notices openings that others miss. A person who expects difficulty sees obstacles everywhere. Two individuals can face identical circumstances, yet experience entirely different results based solely on what they expect. Expectation filters reality, highlighting what confirms it and dismissing what contradicts it. This is why belief often appears to create luck. Luck is simply the visible result of expectancy. Effort becomes effective only when it is supported by calm confidence. Calm confidence signals readiness rather than strain. Strain implies lack of trust, and lack of trust slows outcomes. When someone expects success, they act with timing instead of urgency. They know when to move and when to wait. Their decisions are not rushed by fear of missing out, nor delayed by doubt. This balance allows effort to be precise rather than exhausting. Expectation also influences how others respond. Confidence invites cooperation. People are drawn to those who carry an unspoken certainty that things work out. This certainty is not loud or forceful. It is quiet and stable. Opportunities often arrive through human channels, introductions, recommendations, support, and expectation magnetizes these channels naturally. Desperation repels, expectancy attracts. Many believe expectation must be built on evidence, but evidence follows expectation, not the other way around. Waiting for proof before expecting success traps one in a cycle of delay. Expectation is an inner decision, not a reaction to circumstances. Once made, circumstances rearrange to justify it. This is not imagination. It is alignment with cause and effect at a subtle level. Effort informed by expectation feels different. It is lighter, more focused, and less draining. One does not push against life. One moves with it. When obstacles appear, they are met with adaptability rather than discouragement. Expectation provides resilience because it assumes resolution even when challenges arise. Ultimately, effort is the tool, but expectation is the architect. Without expectation, effort builds nothing lasting. With expectation, even small actions produce significant results. When one expects good as the natural outcome, life rushes to confirm that belief, making effort effective not through struggle, but through alignment with an outcome already assumed to be inevitable. Gratitude is not a polite response to favorable circumstances. It is a creative force that signals completion rather than absence. When gratitude is practiced only after results appear, it functions as acknowledgement. When it is practiced before evidence arrives, it becomes expectation in action. It declares inner certainty that supply is already arranged, even if unseen. Life responds powerfully to this declaration because it reflects confidence rather than need. Gratitude shifts attention from what is missing to what is present. Attention is energy, and where energy flows, experience expands. When the mind habitually scans for lack, it reinforces scarcity. When it scans for value, support, and order, it strengthens abundance. Gratitude trains perception to recognize continuity instead of interruption. This recognition stabilizes emotional states and opens the mind to solutions that were previously overlooked. Trust and gratitude are inseparable. Gratitude without trust is mechanical. Trust without gratitude is incomplete. Trust allows gratitude to feel natural rather than forced. It rests on the understanding that there is an unseen intelligence organizing outcomes beyond immediate visibility. When one thanks in advance, they align with this intelligence instead of resisting it. Resistance delays, alignment accelerates. The law of increase operates through appreciation. What is appreciated is preserved and multiplied. Money that is resented leaves. Money that is feared becomes unstable. Money that is appreciated circulates and grows. Appreciation removes tension from possession and release. It allows money to come and go without anxiety, keeping the flow balanced. This balance is essential for increase. Gratitude also dissolves impatience. Impatience implies distrust in timing. When gratitude is present, urgency fades. One no longer feels compelled to force outcomes. This relaxation invites clarity and right action. Many delays vanish not because effort increased, but because resistance ended. Practicing gratitude in advance requires discipline of thought. It means refusing to wait for proof before giving thanks. This refusal is an act of authority. It states that external conditions do not govern inner certainty. Over time, this practice builds emotional stability. Stability attracts consistency in financial flow. Trust deepens as gratitude becomes habitual. Each instance of unseen support strengthens confidence in the process. What once felt uncertain becomes familiar. Life proves itself cooperative again and again, reinforcing trust naturally. This creates momentum, and momentum invites expansion. As gratitude and trust work together, money responds by increasing in unexpected ways. Opportunities broaden, resources stretch further, and supply appears from multiple directions. The increase is not always immediate, but it is reliable. Gratitude keeps the channel open, and trust keeps it clear. When both are present, money moves easily, reflecting the inner state that no longer questions abundance but expects it as the natural order.